Let's see.
I'm an adult. I don't want to
You
wear child's
disagree?
clothing.
You disagree wholeheartedly that women ought to be subject to military conscription? Well, we already talked about that. I think women should be drafted, to be honest.
Well, so
I'm the biggest feminist here.
the reason I
I think we should conscript women. In fact, we shouldn't conscript men at all. It's kind of like a, for all the years that men were conscripted. I think, here's what we do. We conscript women, we soften up the enemy, and then we send the men in to finish it off. I think that's the best.
Sounds a little gay.
So we're like,
Hey, please don't be mean to those people.
all the women are dying first, and then it's just y'all.
I'm not opposed to like helping my country, because if there was some sort of like issue here in the States, I would 100% I have guns, I would help. But I kind of disagree with the idea of taking women when I already feel like children are being targeted to become property of the state through the school system and through other means. And so I would just think that mothers would be needed in order to maintain protection. But I would also I don't want men to be conscripted either.
Well, I mean, conscription typically isn't, I don't know the exact percentages for World War I, World War II, Vietnam. I believe the United States, just off the top of my head, for example, for Vietnam, I think the U.S. casualties in Vietnam was 70 or 80,000. Let me just check that out really quick. Vietnam, USA casualties. I think it was 70, 80,000. I could be, hold on. Goddamn, show me the, oh my God.
Wait, when you said that the women would soften the enemy, soften them in what way?
Not by pussy.
I was about to say,
You think
I
about
was
pussy? No.
Soften them how? Because they
fuck?
would just completely obliterate them and just...
How many casualties for U.S.? I can't I don't know why I can't find it.
Yeah, there's no softening.
Okay, I was a bit off. But I don't think if we lost, for example, 70,000 women, Jesus Christ, that's going to get clipped. If we lost 70,000 women instead of men in the Vietnam War, I don't think demographically that would have had a massive impact in the U.S., for example.
I mean...
So your argument of, well, we need women to repopulate in some
it wasn't
catastrophic...
repopulated.
No, but your argument about, well, women need to birth the future children and soldiers, that argument really only applies where there's just catastrophic...
Well, that's what happened in World War II.
Well, and that was
there was catastrophic lives lost. I mean, we're talking
Well, we'd have
about
to see the
hundreds of
percentages.
millions of lives were lost in World War II. So
Sure.
And that's really sad. That's really sad that so many young men lost their lives. They're
Yes.
literally just being thrown into just instant death in these trenches. So yeah, I think that if you had those numbers of women being lost, you absolutely would probably be affecting the population.
Why would a man be willing to sacrifice women in society, like the vulnerable sectors of society, as men? Why would that even be a thought? Let's sacrifice the women and the children subsequently, actually.
If the men's role and job is supposed to be to protect and be protectors, why would they want the women to do it for them?
Yeah. How would you sleep at night? I sacrificed 80,000 women so that men can stay in the country and not even defend the country properly, might I add. It would suck.
They'd be
honestly.
the Titanic was sinking and the men today are move over, ladies. We're going on the boat. Right? Women and children
Yeah, that's
first.
how it should. I think... I don't believe in women and children first.
Okay, well, then
why
that
not?
is not a conservative belief set. So you're not... That
Did I
doesn't
say I was
align with a
conservative?
conservative belief set. No,
Wait,
no, you
so
haven't.
why not? Though? Why not
I
women and children first?
above traditional conservative beliefs, I actually put forward men's rights advocacy positions over any conservative or traditional positions.
So, but you guys are talking about men being leaders.
For example, I'll give
So
you an
how is a
example
man
that's
gonna
going
be
to
a
trigger
leader
that's
and
going to
then put the
trigger you
woman in
guys.
the forefront
I'll give
of-
you an example that's going to trigger you guys. So, I believe in any state where abortion is legal, I think men should have a corresponding right to legal paternal surrender, whereby if in any state a woman has the ability to murder their child, men should have a corresponding right to relinquish any financial or parental responsibility.
So you think that men should base their integrity and their actions on the emotional reactions of women?
Well,
and not their own integrity as a man from their own principles, ideologies, values, and God.
Well, that's a different conversation.
That's
the reality
the
is,
same conversation. You're saying that as a man, you want to react to women as opposed to standing your ground as a man and doing what you think is necessary as a man. Why? Why are you reacting to women?
Why wouldn't a man step up and say, I will take care of my child,
responsibilities?
My
Don't
son,
kill
daughter.
my child.
It occurs, well, I'm not really inclined at this moment.
This is making an implication of choice.
They do. A lot of men.
They should have the right to choose, right?
Yes, but that's Brian's point. Mm-hmm. Brian's point is, if you're in a state where you have no choice, she has the choice.
Why are you having sex with a woman who agrees with abortion? That's your fault.
Well,
what if you have sex with a woman who didn't agree with an abortion?
Then that was a bad.
Then you didn't take accountability for your
really bad
responsibilities, and you put her in a position where
let's assume for a second you're married to her.
I don't agree with abortion.
Would you ever consider a woman that believes in abortion for marriage?
Well, they're talking about
really quick. Would you, both of you?
Who agree with
but let us assume for a second you married a woman.
Okay, so what about you?
Again,
that's like the exception
I'm
of
not
the rule.
interested in actually like having another abortion conversation. I'm just saying that's a position.
No, the rule is right now that women can terminate the pregnancy and men can't do anything.
That. I asked, why are
exactly
you having
what
sex
we're talking
with women and impregnating women who agree with abortion? If you're sleeping with women who don't agree with abortion, you wouldn't even come up with this.
I'm giving you an example. I'm giving you an example of how
the man in this scenario, the woman aborted it.
There's no woman that's like, I want to have a family with you. And you get pregnant. She's like, oh, I'm going to abort it.
He wants to.
Yeah, there are women who can do that and do that.
He wants to abort it in this situation.
There are women who do that.
No, that's not even what I said. That's not even what I said.
But why would a man want to kill his own child because of the right word?
No. What he's saying is
he wants to abandon his child, which is calculating its destruction.
That's not even what I said.
No.
You said they should have the right to. But why would a man even want the right to abandon their own child? That is literally calculating its destruction.
Okay, did you not hear the first part of that?
You said if a woman can abort her kid,
which is the case in how many states?
You should also be able to destroy your child by proxy. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You should
it's
be
about
able to
reproductive
react
rights.
As a man.
It's about reproductive
it's about taking
rights.
Accountability as an individual.
So are you pro-abortion?
Right, but you're
as an individual because a woman decides not to.
No.
That doesn't make sense.
No, it absolutely makes sense.
That's reactionary, man.
What is wrong with reactionary?
Because men don't react to women.
What?
They shouldn't. You cannot be a leader and
You're
react to women and make your
oughts for ises.
No, but that's what it should be.
Yeah, I know. It's an ought claim, but it's not an is claim.
Does not do that,
if you say should, it's ought.
No, because my father does not do that, and I've witnessed in my life.
I get that your father doesn't do that, but your father also would have no choice.
Do you want to mention your father one more time?
What's your problem?
I don't know. It just seems like.
Oh, because I have a good father? Is that a problem?
No. Okay, I didn't say that.
Okay,
but you seem to very
glad you
much.
Have a good father.
You frequently bring it up, which I don't really.
Because she's using that as the example. And that's good. You're using it as the example.
So you want women to submit to men, but when I bring up my father in submission, deferring to the knowledge that he gave to me, it's a problem. You can't pick. Okay, you can't. You have your cake and eat it too.
We're having a meta conversation.
Yeah, but he's not.
I can address the actual original thing.
Not. The fact is that if you're submitting a woman in any situation that defers to a man, is
then we'll argue the third party position. You're arguing on your father's behalf.
No, it's not. You're arguing based on the knowledge that you have acquired from your father, from the headship in your home.
Okay.
It would be the same if you had a husband.
So you're arguing your knowledge
that you have as a woman. So you can't tell me that, as a woman, you shouldn't be able to defer to the knowledge of the man that
you're arguing
is in your life.
Your knowledge right now, right?
Remove yourself from the protection of the father or the man that you have in your life. That doesn't make any sense.
So you're arguing your knowledge right now, not your father's knowledge. Knowledge that he gave you.
That he raised me with based on the Bible.
But it is your knowledge.
Gave it to me.
Yes, great. So he is arguing with your knowledge. So anyway, back to this. All he's doing is pointing out a standard. He's saying that there's a double standard where if the standard is going to be that women have the right to do this thing, then there should be an alternative standard where, fine, if that's the case that they can do this, why couldn't men then be able to relinquish their rights?
We don't agree with abortion and we don't agree with men abandoning their kids.
If I could just interject here. So the women who would abort your child, would abort it, right? And you wouldn't have to financially pay for that child. So what you're actually saying is the woman that wouldn't abort your child should be abandoned financially, and the child should have no father in its life.
No, that's not the argument.
That is the argument you're saying.
Not the argument.
Okay, do the math then.
Okay, so let's do the math.
Okay, do the math.
So here's the argument. The argument is actually if a woman has a right to terminate the pregnancy against the will of a man, you and I agree that this is incorrect, right?
Correct.
So he's saying that if that is the standard, then he would argue, so that we don't have a double standard, that then men should be able to terminate their rights to the child if they so choose to do so, so there's no double standard.
So a man's actions is dictated on the sins and the foolishness of women. Again, I can get away with doing stupidity because women are doing it.
Not agreeing with the position, I'm just explaining the
do.
position.
Yes, I understand you're explaining it, but I'm saying that it is absolutely nonsense, because why as a man are you dictating your morals, your integrity, your values and principles on the stupidity of women who you say, by the way, who men constantly say that women are not meant to lead and they can't be in these positions of power.
I didn't say that.
Well, it's been brought up here, okay? So the fact is, why, and women are more emotional, why are you dictating your logic on the emotions and the foolishness of women when they decide to kill their children? Okay, well, a woman kills her kids, so now men can abandon their children and equally cause destruction.
Got it. So let us assume for a moment
that's not even Christian either.
That you live inside of a society where you can't get abortion banned. Let's just say it couldn't get banned. You couldn't ban it.
You're from Canada,
in this
right?
area. You couldn't get enough votes to
I'm
sway
pretty
it.
sure abortion rights in Canada are fairly robust as compared to the United States.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't abort children, so
yeah, got it.
The state. Oh my God.
But assuming for a second,
and I live in the
you
United
could not
States,
get the
I'm American
electorate.
Indian,
You could not get the electorate to vote to terminate or to stop women from being able to terminate their pregnancy. You couldn't get enough people to do that. But
so
you
then
could,
don't sleep with women who agree with
let
abortion.
me finish the question.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
But you
finish.
could sway the.
It literally, don't sleep with women who agree with that ideology, and you won't deal with the problem to begin with.
Okay, so
You're
anyway,
not engaging
do you want me?
with the...
No, it is.
It is
No,
fair.
it's not. And I'll give you the counter argument, but you have to stop talking.
Fair. I'm sorry.
So here's the counter argument to this. If you were able to sway the electorate, though, in that position, to allow for men to terminate their rights so that the women themselves then had to deal with the responsibility of it, you'd likely see abortion drop the fuck off. That's the point.
Okay, now what if you dealt with it legislatively?
That has nothing to do with what
it does have something to do with it because you're talking about a grander 3D chess, right?
If every single, and you're right, you're playing chess. So at the end of the day, none of us are winning this argument. But what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, if all the men in society decided we're going to stop dating feminist women and they were left to their own devices, they would stop the mentality because there would be no market for them. There'd be no one for them to sleep with.
The same
no
standard
one
would be
for them
applied
to
the
get
opposite
security
direction.
from.
If all women began to gatekeep sex again, just like they did in the 30s and 40s when they embraced Christian values in the 30s and 40s, they embraced Christian values. They did not open the legs up for every man who was around. I'm not buying the argument that women are not responsible for who they sleep with, only men.
I never said that.
It is the entailment of your argument.
No, I said traditional dating, you would go to the father, and there would not be sex before marriage, because what are you going to say to the father? Like, oh, I'm going to date your daughter and I have good intentions, but she has to sleep with me. You can't convince any father of that. I'm sorry. You can't. So if you go back to
what does that have to do with anything?
Dating, because if you go back to traditional dating, it would solve a lot of these problems.
Right.
The pregnancy before marriage and everything.